All right, everybody. How are we doing? I hope everybody's having a fantastic morning, noon, or night. Wherever you guys are in the world, you're certainly in the right place because, man, this is going to be a fun one. We're recording this. It's Wednesday, December 13th. You guys are listening to it probably on the 14th or sometime way, way after that because you got us on recording. But regardless, it's been an incredible market, right? The past few weeks, right? I mean, it's been pretty much nothing but green. We've seen a couple pullbacks here and there, but as the market heats up, Brendan and I are coming to you with kind of these one-off episodes, right? We're going to be posting and sharing more content that's more market update style. I mean, we're going to still do all of the interviews that you guys know and that you love and that we love doing. It's like our favorite part of the job, right? Being able to talk to the smartest people in the world in crypto and bring you guys what we think is the best possible crypto education. But as the markets heat up, it's time to start realizing some massive profits and doing things in a very particular way. Okay, we've been telling you guys for the past 2 years, right, of bear market. Now's the time in the bear market, right? We were telling you guys, make sure you're buying, make sure you're dollar cost averaging, but the strategy needs to change now. Okay, we're going from a slow market to now a fast market. We want to make sure that you guys are up to speed with how we're thinking, how we're trading, and all that kind of stuff. So anyhow, long-winded preface or preamble or whatever to what we're going to be doing here on these market update episodes. So with that, gentlemen, let's get started. So Brendan, how are you doing today? Life's good. I see you got a little red shirt on here, maybe representative of some red in the markets. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's symbolizing just a little bit what's happening in the markets. But I got to say that even with this pullback, this is one of the first real sizable pullbacks that we've seen in quite a while. And luckily for us, that's really been because of just how good the crypto markets have been performing, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's large cap altcoins, whether it's small cap altcoins. We have seen things popping off left and right. It's like we stuck the popcorn in the microwave and now we're sitting back after all of our labor, maybe after a hard day of work, and we are watching the popcorn pop. And man, is it awesome? I mean, there's just certain days where you're looking and you're like, hey, that coin's now up 20%. Oh, that altcoin's up 30%. Oh, even Bitcoin's up double digits on the day. And we're starting to enter into a time of the market that a lot of us find exciting.
Yeah, no, I got so much to say on that and more. I want to also say what's up to our super duper producer TiVo in the background, checking in on making sure we're staying on the rails here. TiVo, life's good by you. Hopefully you've got your bags packed in some of these altcoin markets.
Absolutely. Learn from the best of the business with you guys, and price action's been fun, and the content we've been making for this channel, the YouTube, has been starting to take off. I know we're going to be doing some chart work later in this episode, so make sure you check out the link in the show notes. Check out our YouTube. Just the content's flying, honestly. Yeah. And I think this is why we're doing our market update episodes, to keep the people informed of the price action while also bringing world-class interviews every week.
Yeah. No, I have not been sleeping. That's how fun this market has been. It is just incredible, and there's just so much to talk about and so much to chart, so much to buy. There's so little time. And so that's kind of part of the reason why I think everybody should be joining us on YouTube. So you guys could actually see the charts as well that we're going to be talking about on all these shows and stuff like that. But with that being said, something very interesting happened this week, Brendan. Was a huge bill that was introduced by none other than the leader of the anti-crypto army, Senator Elisabeth Warren, and the self-proclaimed anti-crypto army that she's running. And so it's just crazy that she introduces this bill, which in short, in essence, again, I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, anything like that. But my breakdown of it is that it would basically make holding a Ledger Nano or holding a MetaMask wallet or holding any sort of crypto in a non-custodial wallet or where you self-custody, that would basically be illegal. Okay, illegal. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And the only way that you would make it come into compliance is by making the wallet, every sort of wallet address, basically as de-anonymized as your bank account, right, or something like that. It would basically make it so that any sort of crypto assets you hold, your NFT on Solana that you want to hold in your wallet and show your buddies. Okay, if you hold that and you're not filed with this certain, under these certain regulations with this bill, okay, you are now breaking the law. If you want to just hold Bitcoin, you started a Bitcoin sort of account or whatever, and you're thinking, oh, I want to send it and I want to play with ordinals, or I just want to send some money to my family, wherever it is. Boom. Even if you just open that wallet and it only holds a few dollars on it, you are now breaking the law. And so to me, this is just a huge miss, huge miss if this gets passed. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't ever come to you guys with bearing bad news without bringing you hope and without bringing you some good news along with it. Because the good news is she's batting. Tivo, what's it called when you're playing baseball? You got a batting average, but you never actually hit a ball. Like you've actually just never. Are you batting 0 out of 1,000?
Yeah, yeah, you're batting 0, or if you strike out as many times. If a player goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts in a game, I believe it's called the golden sombrero. So she is the golden sombrero of passing.
Can I get the meme going of Elisabeth Warren rocking the golden sombrero? Because this is what this is. If you look at her track record, she has sponsored dozens and dozens and dozens of bills over the years. I think she's been in Congress for half a decade or so. She's been sponsoring these bills left and right. Every single bill that she has sponsored has not passed. And what does that say? It just, to me, sounds like she's missing the mark. She's not aligned with Congress, or she's not aligned with the people writ at large. She's certainly not aligned with the technology sector or anything like that. It seems like she's aligned with, the incumbents, the big banks, all that who might be in her pocket, funding all these reelection campaigns. So for me, seeing this bill, the market sold off right at the beginning of the week. The market, Bitcoin went from 44,000 all the way to 40,000. It was perfectly coincided with the announcement of this big sweeping bill to really scare the market. We've seen this kind of stuff in the past. This, to me, I don't think this is going to get passed. Again, not legal advice, all that kind of stuff. Future is still, yet to be unfolding. We're still very curious to see who steps up to fight this, right? Because, we spoke to Bill Hughes, who runs global policy for MetaMask the other day on the podcast. It was one of the most incredible conversations I personally have ever had in my life, let alone on the podcast, right? It was such a sweeping discussion of regulation and policy and all that stuff. And it reminds me that there has to be people fighting on the other end of sweeping, bills like this that violate our rights to privacy and human sovereignty and individualism and right to property and all these things. There has to be people on the other end fighting for us. And guys like Bill Hughes and all the cohort of crypto lawyers that are out there that are live streaming from the courthouse and all this kind of stuff. Those are the people that are fighting the good fight. And we need more people. We need people to be calling their congressmen. We need to be, writing letters to our senators, letting them know that these bills that are being proposed right now, don't actually serve the needs of America and consumers and innovation and protect our GDP growth and protect our competitiveness and our military edge and all these things. Because guess what? If we don't do it and if we don't protect individuality, China is going to steamroll us. And there's just going to be nothing but a dictatorship that's globally just destroying the world. Russia, craziness, right? It's going to be a horrible paradigm if we don't protect individualism and the constitutional rights that America in the West has pioneered and made so important and part and parcel of every day. We need to protect those. And crypto, I think, is an embodiment of all of those Western ideals. And so to me, this is huge, right? And so I don't think it's going to get passed. I think there's good, smart people fighting our fight. But it does, we don't just get these laws on our side without fighting, right? We have to have a voice. We have to speak up. And so that's what we do a lot, right? We try and spread our opinions, our knowledge, our education of what's unfolding. But I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because, people are texting me, people are calling me. They're saying, Bryce, there's this new bill that could be passed and it could outlaw your industry. What are you doing about it? And I'm like, I just don't know. She's batting golden sombrero numbers. I don't know if she's going to be closing this deal.
I mean, with her numbers, I think we're past the golden sombrero. I think we're at the diamond or platinum sombrero at this point. Tivo, I think you had the numbers for us, but it was something wild.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and actually
Big fan
shout out to Tom Dunleavy on the analysis there. He's the guy who I saw first do this analysis that went through all of her sort of bills that she sponsored and that didn't get passed. And so now I don't know if he had the original one, but I want to shout out to him. He's a good guy. We love him. He's been on the show before. But
Yeah.
anyhow, now I'm seeing it.
I mean, these numbers, the numbers were crazy. So lifetime stats for Elisabeth Warren bills: 305 that she introduced, 0 became law. 1,766 that she was a co-sponsor of with other senators, and 45 of those became law.
What is that?
So her
out of 1,786. That's 2.5% close rate,
and that's co-sponsored bills.
Yeah,
her 305. She's batting 0 for self-introduced bills.
And
Tough.
admittedly, I will say to play devil's advocate here. I am curious to see what the numbers are for other senators because I can't imagine it's glorious.
Well, and as a podcast, we collectively have also introduced 0 bills that have become law as well. So, can't throw stones in a glass house.
Yeah, exactly.
But just a shameless self-promotion on your point you just made. The Bill Hughes episode actually went out on Tuesday. So with all the news with this Elisabeth Warren bill, and especially last week, I believe it was Jamie Dimon was testifying again, and her and Elisabeth Warren were playing badminton back and forth, their anti-crypto talk. A super important episode for everybody to go back and listen to if you did not. So the Bill Hughes episode dropped on Tuesday. So check that out.
I couldn't say it any better, TiVo. Seriously, what perfect timing to kind of dive in. And Brendan, there was another thing that I saw. Google actually introduced new advertising policies. They seemed kind of ominous. They seemed a little bit foretelling. I don't know. Did you see this? What was kind of going on at Google?
Yeah, for me, this was the final nail in the coffin. For me, this has pretty much said that the ETFs are here and they are all but released at this point, because you have to kind of read into this statement. They are not going to release a statement like this, the way that they worded it, without already having a team worked on this, because there's so many sides to what they announced here. There's a regulatory side, there's a compliance side. You have to have a back end side of engineers that are actually designing and working on this product and making the product work for these ETFs. Like, there's so much that goes into this on both the back end, the front end, the regulatory and compliance side. They have to have multiple teams that have already begun and have been working on something like this to even get to the point where they feel comfortable announcing it. So this means that, in my opinion, right? I'm maybe this is my little conspiracy theory, but they know what's up, and they have had teams working on this, multiple teams. Like I just said, they've had them working on this for who knows how long, and they know what's happening in the background, or else they wouldn't release. I mean, it's such a specific announcement that talks about directly allowing advertisers to target anybody with their cryptocurrency ETFs. They don't say Bitcoin ETFs. They don't say Ethereum ETFs. They say cryptocurrencies ETFs or trust products, which means that it could be Bitcoin and Ethereum and other products that are to come. Yeah. So they're setting the infrastructure for something a lot bigger here. To me, this tells me that they know that these ETFs are a matter of when, not if, and they are doing everything in their power to be ready before the end of January, because we've said it before, Bryce. I know you've talked about it. We see these ETFs being approved around the early to mid-January. And if Google is saying that advertising for these trusts are going to be allowed before January is over, it tells me that these things are almost a done deal.
The writing is on the wall. You couldn't be more right. And two things on that. One, I also hear speculation that one of these ETF providers is looking for a Super Bowl ad. There's been discussion that there's going to be Bitcoin ETF Super Bowl ads. I think that's a pretty big leak. And the other thing I was going to say was in regards to this Bitcoin ETF that's going to be, probably, as Bloomberg sort of has gone out on a limb. Two ETF analysts at Bloomberg have said this is like a 99% chance. Like, this is This is as much of a lock as it could be. And so that to me is a huge sign, because what's going to happen is you're going to have the ability for Bitcoin to now be much more attractive to buy for these large billion-dollar institutions, where you could use portfolio margin now to buy Bitcoin ETFs, and it's going to track the price of spot Bitcoin 1-for-1. And then you could use that BTC ETF, and you could then margin that. And so it kind of gets institutions out of this really tight quandary where they actually have to go outlay, currently in today's infrastructure, outlay cash, right? Cold hard cash, and go buy Bitcoin off some random exchange. It's very difficult. And there's lots of risks there. And it's very expensive, right? Especially when cash is yielding so much right now. There's an opportunity cost there. And so kind of being able to have now Bitcoin piped in to the financial plumbing that already exists in the Charles Schwabs and Fidelities and all these different accounts of the world, right? That's big. The fact that there's going to be passive buying from pension funds, endowments, and everybody who wants to individuals who want to allocate their 401k or their retirement accounts a small portion to Bitcoin, right? Maybe that's every week that you get paid, right? Like for my 401k or whatever, buy a little bit of S&P every week, that kind of stuff. I think adding Bitcoin to that mix is just going to add a whole new universe of buyers. It's going to be insane. So the Bitcoin ETF you cannot discount. And then we've talked about it a lot. The Bitcoin halving coming up in April 2024, slated for sometime between April 17th and April 23rd. That's kind of a shifting window. Obviously, super excited about that. I think it's going to be such an explosive combination, because you have with the ETF a step function increase in a new universe of buyers, right? Like all these people we talked about who've never been able to buy Bitcoin, never wanted to kind of get into it because of all the stickiness around exchanges and stuff. They're not going to be able to buy it super seamlessly. There's a whole new universe of buyers. The one thing Paul Tudor Jones says that unifies every bull market, the one thing he's seen, is an ever-expanding universe of new buyers for that asset or that asset class. And that's what we're getting, just a step function, right? And so that's huge. But you're also, at the same time, or about 4 months apart, at the same time, you're getting a step function reduction in the supply, right? Because now, currently, there's about 900 Bitcoin that are released every single day. You're going to have about 450 Bitcoin that are going to be released every day in one fell swoop, right? Steps down. So now you get a step up in demand, a step down in supply. And ladies and gentlemen, anybody who stayed awake in any single of their econ or business courses knows that supply and demand, in these sort of dynamics, are going to result, unless the laws of market dynamics breaks down, which is maybe even an offshoot of the laws of physics, right? Unless that breaks down, we should see far higher prices for Bitcoin. And we've seen historical correlations of all these altcoins that as Bitcoin moves, it kind of drags the altcoin market higher as well. And then as Bitcoin consolidates at a new and accepts kind of a new market value, that's when the altcoin season kind of goes off and it runs, right? You see all this popcorn price action, and we're kind of at that point right now. And there's something very interesting happening. You'll note that we have, and let me take a sip of water here because there's a lot going on. But we now have Bitcoin at the 50% retracement mark from the high, right? So at $69,000, dropped all the way down to $15,000. Now we're right around $40,000 to $45,000 on any given day, right? So that's kind of the 50% retracement mark of the drawdown. We've now recovered half of the drawdown from the bear market, all right? Everybody give themselves a hand. It was a lot of fun, right? No, it wasn't. It sucked. But we're now, we've come back. And now you see Bitcoin's setting a pretty big trading range. I mean, $5,000 trading range is pretty big. And what we're seeing now as Bitcoin kind of accepts this new market valuation, this new re-rating, and market gets comfortable with this, you see just an explosion in individual altcoins almost day after day. And you're seeing just, kind of like Brennan put perfectly the analogy of popcorn. It's one after another, after another, after another. And the whole altcoin market is now getting dragged up as Bitcoin finds a new kind of comfort zone. And this comfort zone is not random. This is going to be the new cost of production of Bitcoin. How fun is that, right? As we've been talking about this in webinars and in podcasts and all sorts of different stuff, newsletters. We've talked about this concept a lot. So if this is your first time hearing it, I guess is pretty important. But the cost to mine Bitcoin now around $23,000 on average globally. Now, it's obviously very profitable to mine Bitcoin right now, but when the halving occurs, the average cost to mine Bitcoin will be $40,000. So again, what's the cost to mine Bitcoin? It's the cost of energy, the cost of hardware, cost of infrastructure maintenance, all that stuff. So on average, globally, there's indexes that track the cost to mine Bitcoin. This new $40,000 cost of production. This is, like we said, this should probably be the floor for the next cycle. And so now we're here. So anyhow, congrats to everybody who kind of is traded along the way. But there's a lot of good altcoin sort of updates that are coming along. But yeah, I want to pause there. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Tivo, I want to go to you real quick. How does all of this sound to you? Like kind of as somebody who's not necessarily, you're not managing a crypto hedge fund. You kind of just got into the space a couple years ago. How are you thinking about this crypto market and kind of allocating your portfolio and kind of just trying to do the best you can to capitalize on this market?
Yeah, I think I guess it goes back to just kind of smart money, dumb money. If you're investing in anything, whether it's the stock market, the meme craze of a couple of years back, crypto craze of a couple of years back, is there's the FOMO aspect of you only seem to buy a bunch when everybody's talking about it and piling into it. And by that time, playing Monday morning quarterback of a year ago, you're looking at the price and being like, oh man, I didn't start buying until 40, 45, 50, 60, and then it dumps on you. Your cost basis wasn't low enough. And so I've definitely done a good job of kind of that old saying, blood in the streets you buy, hold your nose and buy it when it doesn't feel comfortable. So I've been doing that over the last year. Dollar cost averaging in, nothing huge at one time.
Love it.
But I feel like we've been talking, on the podcast and inside the community of, it's the accumulation phase. And as you said so eloquently at the start of this show, of the market update episodes, is, hey, we're looking at this as a possible transition time. The market's heating up. You got to start paying more attention in a different way, and not that you can't, add some here and there, but you got to start looking, it's not a clear accumulation phase. Some things are popcorn, and like we talked about. So yeah, as somebody who's not a chart technician or a deep researcher, it's more kind of just paying attention. I always like to do the, I did it at Thanksgiving. I'll do it again at Christmas. Is I ask my friends and my family, hey, you see the Bitcoin price? You guys hear anything about Bitcoin? And everybody's still saying no. Everybody's still saying no.
No, I love it. I think
how I look at it.
That sounds like smart money to me. I mean, it sounds like you definitely took a lot of what we've shared to heart. And kind of noticed that, during these down times, it's important to dollar cost average into the best assets and all that stuff. But, that, like you mentioned, we're in a transitional period that changes. Brendan, let me throw this to you. How does a active trading strategy or an active sort of portfolio risk management strategy change as we go from what we're in, last 6 months, which was an accumulation, to now that breakout phase? Are we more to buy the dip? Yeah. I think people are so scarred from all these failed breakouts that they're just never going to want to buy a breakout again. And once that mentality kind of switches, where they're like, all right, I'm done buying breakouts. Like, screw it. Like, everything is a failed bear market rally. Like, now we're in everything's breaking out of bull flags. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that the dynamic really is shifting. And for a little bit of transparency in where I'm at, I don't just trade crypto. Like, I like to invest and trade a lot of different things, traditionals, futures, real estate, etc. And what the stage that I'm at right now is I'm looking at taking profits from all those and taking the profits from those other markets and actually put them in the crypto now, because I see crypto having a higher reward than those alternative investments in the short term. I mean, there's just so many positive things. The technicals look great. We have the ETFs on the way, the halving, et cetera. There's so much to be excited about. And I think you're right, Bryce, that as we shift, and at this point, I dare even say shift, because I think we're already in this bull market, but the narrative and the thought process of trading has to change from this sell the rip mentality to kind of reversing that. And I think everyone needs to have a buy the dip mentality. So instead of looking at every opportunity and saying, hey, where can I look at selling? Where can I look at taking profit? I think we need to rearrange how we're thinking to kind of target, hey, which asset has the best opportunities to buy the dips? Where can I see the dip buying opportunity on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on Solana, whatever crypto that you're looking at? Instead of looking at where you take profits, I think you need to be looking at the best most opportunistic areas to be accumulating. And with that, we see things like the moving averages, the 20, the 50, the 200, all pointing back upwards. They're now being used as support areas where prices on just about every crypto asset is bouncing off of them. We're also starting to see bull flags come back into play, where we're seeing these moves to the upside, a consolidation through a bull flag, and then a breakout. Those bull flags are going to present the buying opportunities alongside things like moving averages. We're also seeing previous areas of resistance turn into newfound areas of support. We often refer to this as a break hook and go on the candle charts. And so there's a lot of things that the average person can watch out for, but I think it all comes with just the mental switch flipping in your mind of where can I see these opportunistic areas to buy, instead of saying, hey, where can I look at all these different things to sell? And the final thing that I'll leave us with before I hand it back to you two is what I'm looking at doing in this area is taking profits in the cryptocurrency. In a bear market, the trend is your friend, or the trend is not your friend in a bear market. It's moving downwards. So ideally, you want to take profit in the stable coins, because if you leave those assets alone that you just took profits on, the odds are they're going to depreciate in value in a bear market. In a bull market, it's the opposite. So when you're taking profits from a trade, I personally like to either, number one, put those right into my next trade if I have one available, or put them into something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, because if left alone, again, the same concept of the trend is your friend is going to be in play here. And the odds are those assets are going to appreciate in value because the trend is upward. So I don't want to take profits. I don't want to leave it in something like USDC. I don't want to leave it into the US dollar, because the odds are in our current trend then that the market will just keep on moving without me. So those are just kind of the things that I'm watching out for. It's how I've personally kind of shifted my strategy to be a little bit more current with the times. And, I think there's a little bit of food for thought for everyone in there.
Yeah, no, that was incredible. Definitely a great summary of kind of where we're at, and kind of how to play this market, and how to kind of posture. Now, obviously, there's a lot of altcoins, sort of inefficiencies in this market, if you will. Still, these coins are small cap, right? Some of these coins are anywhere from $1 million market cap to 100 million, and then of course on the big side you got those $1 billion market caps. But there's still a lot of really interesting moves here in the altcoin market. One thing that I saw that was really interesting this week, and full disclosure, a lot of the coins that we talk about here on the podcast, we own personally, or our businesses do, or some affiliate of ours. So I want everybody to be clear. We're bullish on this assets class. We kind of put our money where our mouth is. We talk about it a lot. So hopefully that's clear, so there's no perceived conflict of interest. But one of the coins that I thought is doing a really good job in this sort of transition phase is SNX. Okay, so SNX is synthetics, and so synthetics is just got this. Synthetics just got this sort of new vote that was passed by their council. Okay, they have this distributed council of governors, and they just voted to reduce, or should I say completely eliminate, the inflation of the token. Okay, now that inflation which has caused the token to fall quite a bit. Everybody who was using the platform was earning some of this inflation, and if they were staking, they were earning this sort of inflation that they were just dumping onto the market. And so I think and when this vote was going through, not only did they propose to reduce the inflation, they also proposed and got passed sort of an algorithmic buyback and burn program for the SNX token, which I think is pretty big. This is what kind of what MakerDAO does as well. Based on the fees that the DeFi protocol accrues from all the usage and all that kind of stuff, based on those fees, they'll take a portion of it, a significant portion of it, and they'll buy back tokens off of the open market, and they'll burn them. They'll send them to the verified Ethereum burn address where the tokens go to die, right? It's the graveyard. It's how a token could never kind of come back into circulation. So they do the opposite of dilute their holders. So there's this anti-dilution sort of mechanism that is now working for all SNX holders. So to me, this is a huge buy signal. The market, in fact, Brennan could throw up a chart here after, and we could take a look at SNX. But you could see the moment that this vote started to get discussed, and then when it passed, and there's just been huge breakouts. So that was really big. Again, there was a really large announcement on AVAX as well. Before I move on to AVAX, we could kind of go back to SNX here. US dollar, go to Coinbase. So this thing is up relatively, again, not as much as some of these other coins like Celestia, which is up like 10x since it launched, 3 months ago or something like that. SNX is up about double since it bottomed out, from about $2 to around $4.50, $4 or whatever, around double. And so this sort of proposal started to get voted on and discussed just a couple of weeks ago amidst this sort of bull market where you see that big crossover of those moving averages. So the vote just got passed. Right up here where that big green candle is on the far right-hand side of the chart. The vote got passed, and now the market is starting to price in this new information, saying, okay, well, the calculus changes of this, the trajectory of price. If we have certain factors that were influencing it in the past that no longer exist, there needs to be a repricing of this. And so SNX is something that I think that a lot of the world doesn't, a lot of the overall world doesn't really understand what's going on. It's kind of niche, right? That's why we talk about it. We're specialty researchers in a sense. And this is like, pretty much popping up on our radar, flashing bright signals. And the SNX guys, these are OG DeFi guys. They are, they know how to build successful projects and protocols. It gets a lot of usage. So I'm really excited about this one. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling everybody to go out and buy this because it's going to go higher immediately. I'm just saying generally it has all those kind of telltale signs of what I personally look for when I park my money, right? And so to me, this looks like an interesting opportunity. Again, not financial advice, but just go ahead and consider that. And so I think a lot of the world is going to be waking up to it. Even crypto-specific people over time, they'll start to be like, okay, well, what are the tokens with the least amount of inflation? And they'll realize, oh my God, SNX, this thing has the Lindy effect. It's been around for 5 or 6 years. It's got a lot of usage. It's got sticky users. A lot of applications are built on it, and they don't even have inflation. Wow, this is crazy. And I think that trend is going to be just solidified over time. That was one. I know AVAX, like I mentioned, they've had an incredible year. Especially the last couple months. And I actually, AVAX was one that we called out and we highlighted kind of in the wake of the Solana breakout. And we saw AVAX at a $7 billion market cap ish, called it out, highlighted it as just something that was, going to be, kind of closing the gap on I think it was a $3 billion market cap. Solana had already re-rated to like a $20 billion market cap. And we said, well, this discrepancy doesn't make that much sense. And so if you actually take a look and, you go, Brendan, pull up AVAX USD, AVAX USD / Sol USD, and then just click enter. So what we're seeing here is now AVAX in terms of Solana. So we're actually charting the crosspair here. And you can see AVAX since November has rallied huge, even relative to Solana. So if you were in Solana while AVAX was ripping, you were leaving a lot on the sidelines. So what we did, we actually rotated quite a bit out of the Solana trade. That was the first one to pump, and then bought AVAX, right? And saw AVAX as kind of the next trade. And sort of, we wrote some newsletters and kind of put out some videos talking about just that general trade setup. And it's worked out perfectly because the idea is that, Solana had this $20 billion market cap, and the trade back in the past cycle was that these kind of always had similar market caps, always about similar usage. It was the Soluna AVAX trade, SOLUNA VAX, right? Soluna AVAX. There was always this dance between the three. Mm-hmm. Now we don't have Luna, but now we have just Sol AVAX. And so it was very clear AVAX hadn't had its day in the sun, and that was just an incredible move that we saw. And so the crypto markets are so inefficient, so small still, that those are really playable trades. And AVAX has a really burgeoning ecosystem. They announced a lot of big RWA, sort of real-world asset partnerships with other big banks that are going on. It's just incredible to see what's going on there. So those are kind of two that have been spectacular, that I think are going to continue to be spectacular. I kind of wanted to call those out. But Brendan, anything else on your radar here, kind of before we wrap up and get everybody back to hopefully making a killing here in the crypto market?
I wouldn't be chiming in about a crypto if I didn't mention the gaming market. It's clear that I'm a big fan of it. And IMX price is one that me and you have been talking about. And
Yep.
it's just another textbook trade.
One
That
of our
has
most
been,
recent additions to our model portfolio that we have for all of our Crypt Nation subscribers.
Yeah, exactly. And what perfect timing on it. And basically, just what we saw from IMX is number one, the whole gaming space is really getting a lot of attention. And it makes sense after the amount of funding that we have seen come into the gaming space. I think over the last like 2 years or so, roughly, we have seen about $5.5 billion come into the crypto gaming space. And we're now starting to see the fruits of those labors. Things like IMX had a beautiful break, hook, and go. It broke above an area of resistance, retraced back down to it, tested it as support, like we said earlier, and then it just shot up to the upside to new yearly highs here above $2 for the first time. I mean, this is really the first time that IMX has seen $2 since April of 2022. So a lot of cryptos are seeing charts just like this one. I know another one, Bryce, that me and you mentioned was Marinade. That thing went on this like holy rip to the upside over the past couple of days. I think it did like 240% or something like that. Massive candle coming in. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to see across the board. There's a lot of good stuff to look at. And I think that everyone that's in the crypto markets, you don't need to necessarily rush into everything because like we mentioned earlier, there is this game of popcorn happening and one crypto will spike and blow up. It'll have this huge move to the upside. Then while it's cooling down, another one's popping off. And then while that one's now cooling down, a third one's popping off. And just left and right, there is this trade-off. But there's also times where the whole market is moving upwards as well. I think the time that we're at right now is we see we see major caps like Bitcoin and Ethereum retracing 5-10% over the last couple of days. But even in light of that, we saw IMX moving and Cosmos moving and Celestia moving nearly 20% to new year, or not even to new yearly highs, to new all-time highs. So there truly is opportunity out there. And the crypto market is certainly got a lot more great things to come.
Yeah, no, I think that's an incredible sort of place to end it on. Brendan, Tivo, always appreciate your guys' time and your thoughts, and hopefully everybody at home has enjoyed it. And we're going to be putting out a lot more content as always. We're Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Please join us on YouTube. We've got lots of fun videos and charts and just content coming out of our ears practically. So check us out there. Also, if you guys are interested in getting a little bit more involved with our crypto trade recommendations and just all around what we're doing and kind of following along with our model portfolios and trade alerts and all that kind of stuff, we've got a link actually in the show notes that you guys can check out for $1. You could get a 2-week trial. You could come and see all of our technical analysis, all of our fundamental analysis and research and newsletters and videos. Guys, we've got all sorts of courses behind this sort of paywall that we made specially for you, especially for bull markets, telling you guys how to capitalize and how to just make a killing. So hopefully everybody who's watching enjoyed. And if you guys want a little bit more taste, hit the link in the show notes, $1, 2 weeks. Come and see, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay long and stay strong. We'll see you guys on the other side.